Hotel, and welcome. Kemetic legacy today. Kemetic legacy today. Life, health, and strength to you all. Kemetic legacy today. Hotep. Kemetic legacy today.
Hetepu. Welcome to Kemetic Legacy Today, your weekly journal of ancient African, ancient Kemetic history and spirituality. My name is Daniels-Osaze, also known as Heru Jedin Ma'at Aten Ra.
And my name is Anika Daniels-Osaze, also known as Unfraka Ma'at. And we have a very special episode for you today. We've been listening to all of your messages, we've been checking our emails, and we realized that you've had a lot of questions about Kemetic spirituality and how to actually make it practical. So today we've invited some of our priestesses, or what we call Abutu, in the Kemetic tradition, to come and talk about their experience in this pathway, how they live it from day to day, and what their experiences have been. I'd like to welcome our studio audience and say thank you for being here today, and thank you to all of our guests that are here today. So on my far left, I'd like to start introducing Helen Ast. We have Elsiana Ma'at Kepra. We have Yendis Nefer Atum Ma'at. And we have Rohena Ma'at Sekhmet. Welcome to all of you.
Thank
Welcome.
you for having us.
And of course, I know at home, right off the bat, you're wondering about the names. And we will talk a lot about names and how people come about figuring out what their path is, figuring out what their energy is, and perhaps coming up with a name. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But there are a bunch of other burning issues that we should discuss as well. I believe we should speak initially about how you came to this path. Because as we know, in the United States, most folks that look like us are Christian. And if you're not Christian, then you're Muslim. I've had that, people have asked me that question before. Are you Christian? No, I'm not. Then you're Muslim? No, I'm not. And they look at me for a while like, did you not understand my question? Because for many folks, there's nothing else. And so the first question we would pose to you all as you go through this process of becoming Abutu, of becoming priestesses, how did you come to this understanding of the legacy? How did you get to the point where you felt that it was something that you should use in your life? And we're throwing it out for any of you to get to.
Well, I came into the legacy by way of Queen of Four of Heal Thyself. At one time, I was a Christian, and I was sitting in church, and I was actually hurting of different ailments that I may have had. And then someone mentioned something to me about healing yourself. And that's when I came into the organization of Queen of Four and becoming a sacred woman. And in doing that, it taught us a different way of living our lives and how we should go about certain things. And so from that point on, I went into Chemetics 101, which taught us a little more about the legacy. And I decided that's what I wanted to do because now I know that I am a healer. I healed myself with certain ailments that I may have had. And I decided to continue.
Was that a difficult transition? Is it a complete transition for you? I know, and I often, we joke about Kamites that find themselves in church. And I know that as much as I've made jokes about it, I have found myself in church on many occasions. Yeah. My family is still Christian. Yes. And so for occasions I'm there, and I was raised in a particular church. I went all the way from my baptism to my confirmation. So when they see me, they assume that I'm still the same person. And so when we have our conversations, sometimes they can be a little unusual. So what has that transition been like?
Wonderful.
Okay, good.
Wonderful. For the simple reason, you know how the preacher says, well, come up if you have any problems, anything like that, to come up and we lay hands on you, give you a prayer, what have you. And I must have did that like maybe 4 times. And that 5th time, I said, I'm not doing it anymore. Because everything is always the same. So once I came in with Queen of 4, my ways of eating, my habits, and abstaining from certain things began to change. And then I noticed a change within my body. And it was when I decided to do what I needed to do for my healing. So that's why I say once I started at a certain point, I went straight to it, and I'm good.
Wow.
Excellent now.
Wow.
And now all of you are Butu for the shrine of Patak,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Which we call karas, or houses of worship. Okay. So now, when someone asks you, is this a religion, how do you respond?
I usually say it's a way of life. And then they say, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I was raised in a Seventh-day Adventist church myself. And when I was 13 years old, I started to feel like something wasn't right. Like I didn't feel connected. And I would look around the church on Saturdays, and I was just noticing that people were, like, nothing was really changing. Like Helen would say, it's every Saturday, it's every Wednesday, it's every Friday night, but not much was changing. So I told my mom I didn't want to go to church anymore. So I felt like there was always a voice inside me that led me from 13 years old to my early 20s. And so I didn't go to any spiritual houses. I read a lot. I read a lot of spiritual things and other people's spiritual transformations I read about. And that inspired me to want to have that quiet place inside myself. So I walked into Heal Thyself Center about 15 years ago. And once I got there, I don't know if it was the soothing blue on the walls or the paintings of the Kemetic deities, but I felt like I was at home. And I've been there mostly ever since.
Right.
It felt like my spirit said, okay, this is where you need to be.
Right.
And like Helen, I've also taken the Sacred Woman Rites of Passage as well. And although the Seventh-day Adventists, you know, they have a certain eating habit already. You know, they don't eat pork and different things like that. So once I learned about vegetarianism on my own, but once I learned the connection, how doing certain things, putting things in your body created ailments, putting bad things in your body created certain ailments. So once I understood how the two went together, from going through Sacred Woman and Heal Thyself, I just felt at home. I just felt at home. And it was the right thing for me.
Well, Hannah, I'm going to ask you, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but in reading your website, I noticed that you actually conduct Sacred Women, women workshops. Can you talk about what that is and what that means?
The Sacred Women Rites of Passage that I conduct, they're a 9 to 12 week initiation for women of color. And we start off with the 9 gateways of ascension for women. We talk about how women relate to the elements, how we relate to the moon, how we relate to knowing how to heal ourselves, heal our relations, heal our families. We talk about how using food heals not only the families, it heals the communities. We discuss in terms of communities how we're so imbalanced due to what we're eating that if we get back on track with how we used to eat, how that can elevate us mentally, physically, and spiritually. We talk about just the role of women, the importance of women, the empowerment of women, that we're so conditioned in this Western society to be patriarchal and to be put down or put in the back. So through Sacred Woman, we learn to lift our self-esteem. We learn to acknowledge our wombs, the wombs of our mind, wombs of our spirit, wombs of every aspect of being a woman or woman. So Sacred Women also, people shy away from it when I advertise that is what I do, because they feel that it is a religion. Like Yenda says, it is a lifestyle, it is a way of life. Sacred Women, I think the dominant women are Christian. Because if you're a Christian woman coming to Sacred Woman, it edifies your life as a Christian. It makes you a better Christian woman. It makes you a better Muslim woman. It makes you a better Yoruba woman. So Sacred Woman is all about being in tune with what being a woman is. And that's what we like to teach. Because once you heal a woman, you heal a nation.
That's right.
Wow.
Too.
Powerful. Now, Elsiana, as a holistic health practitioner, you also used to help with colonics, correct? Or do you still do that?
No, that was Helen.
Oh, that's Helen. I
Yes.
apologize. Can you talk a little bit about the process of colonics, why they're used?
Well, colonics is used in order to cleanse the intestine, the large intestine, of impacted
You could say it.
Waste.
You could say it. You could say it.
impacted waste. And in doing that, if you find that yourself is being bloated and you're not using the bathroom like you should, like one should, which is 3 times a day, then you know that you're impacted with a lot of waste throughout the day, because you're supposed to have at least 3 bowel movements for the period. That if you're eating 3 times a day, then you're supposed to go 3 times a day. If not, if you don't go 3 times a day, that means you're becoming impacted, you get bloated, you have different kind of ailments going on, the skin comes out through the skin. If it's not coming out through the rectum, then it comes out through the pores. It comes out through the liver, it goes to the liver, and you may
Your
have
breath.
yes, the breath, and
Everything.
things of that nature. So once I seen that I was that I could help a person to heal themselves, I decided to become a colon therapist, and that was one of the main things that I wanted to do, for the simple reason I know once you got that stuff out of your system, you were good. You were good for a moment, and then you begin to, like, if you got your colonic today, then you know for the whole entire week you don't want to mess yourself up again. So therefore, you're gonna try to eat correctly for a good week or so.
That's right.
And then, you know, it depends on how many times you have the colonic done as well.
Now, what's your response to, for example, I work at a medical school, and physicians say to me, oh, if you're putting 10 gallons of water into your system, you're going to have water poisoning. And, it's just very unsafe to do a colonic. What's your response to something like that?
Well, the 10 gallons of water is not, it's going through, but it's coming right out. It's not 10 gallons of water. It's 5 gallons, but as the water goes in, it comes right out. So it's not in there all at one time. So periodically, the water goes in a little bit, and then you release, and it comes out again. So it's not that it's all there at one time. So it's in and it's out. It's in and it's out. And, until we use up 10 gallons of water, yes, but not all at one time.
Okay. Now, Elsiana, can you talk a little bit about ritual? What you do in the mornings, or what you do on a day-to-day basis, preparing for your path for the day.
Okay. Basically, I do a lot of meditation. I usually get up and I do salutations to the 4 directions. I also like to do the divination of the body parts. I always feel that it empowers me because every part of me is divine. Okay. I also enjoy and get lifted by wearing the color of the day. It really gives me power. Today's Friday, and see we're all in green.
That's right.
Green is very healing. It's very grounding. We are Het Haru, and she is, or the principle is, beauty, health, love. And when you wear the colors, you actually feel the healing.
You feel Het Haru.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And other rituals, well, I'm big on soul sweats. So to me, that's a ritual.
That's right. That's right.
And basically, it's going to the bathhouse. The body, the skin, is the largest organ, so we detox. And it's fun. It's very soothing, relaxing, cleansing, not only for the body, but your mind, your spirit, everything is cleansed. Okay, so that's one ritual. And then we have, our group rituals, that we do, like the opening of the way or pouring libations. But basically, that's, it's the meditation. I have my altar,
Right.
and My altar has been, it changes from time to time, but I would say for the last year, it has really been dedicated to my parents.
Wow.
Okay.
Beautiful.
But,
And we're going to be blessed with a description of the altar that you've made. I know certainly you may recognize these people, folks, I should also let you know, because they were the Butu that assisted us in our Ankh ceremony, and they did such a wonderful job.
Yes.
Anika and I, and hopefully you didn't see this on camera, but Anika and I were really stressed out that day because there was so much to do, and it seemed like we had 6 hours and then we had 1 hour. I'm not sure where the other 5 went, but once we came into the space and we saw how the Butu cared for the space before we even got there, everything, I mean, automatically, our stress level just disappeared within a few moments. And so clearly, one of the major roles of the Abu and Abutu, the priests and priestesses in Kemet, they were purifiers. They set the order of the day based on the principle of energy, or the neteru, or deity, you might say, of that day. And so doing that is exactly what you've done. And so as you talk about how you've approached, how you feel different ways when you actually wear different colors of the day, and talk about using your altar. Certainly we're going to hopefully get to talk to you all about the altar you've created, and why you created it this way, what someone else might put on their altar. We've gotten a lot of questions about altars, by the way.
Yes.
Tons of questions. And so for folks who are watching, this is really an episode that will delve a little bit deeper into those sorts of issues.
But at this point, I guess we should actually have a demonstration of the opening of the way, which is one of the major rituals that one in the Kemetic tradition would perform every morning. And we always say it's best to do sometime between 4 and 6 in the morning, because that's when you're most lucid and when you could actually receive probably visions, or even just feel most at peace while doing that ceremony. So this time we'd like to ask our divine Abutu to perform first the opening of the way, and then the libations. Okay? Swallow.
Swallow.
was very elegant.
Beautiful.
And very peaceful.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
And certainly this is a ceremony that we can do as individuals in the morning. Most Kemites do this in the morning or something very similar to it in the morning. You can do it in a group. I know that as we came through Chemetics 101, which is how many Kemites that come through the Shrine of Pratah, at some point, most of us did that. Not everybody, but most of us. But as you do that, I remember doing the opening of the way in a room of maybe 30 or 40 people.
Yes.
It's very different when you're doing it by yourself, but it's still,
Yeah.
you're still edified by
Yes.
it. And I remember even just chanting Ankh together, I began to realize, first of all, that it cleared my sinuses.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I never really realized that that was going to happen. Then I also recognized that when we actually became harmonized, there was something else that happened to me. I'm not exactly sure if I can put word to it. But the universal vibration that we sort of created was healing. So certainly this is something that you should do on your own. And also, for those of you who are watching at home, you could be doing this with your family, you can do this with your friends. There are many variations. And so this is probably the third or fourth time that we've done this on the show. Hopefully you've seen the different variations and you are comfortable incorporating it into your life as well.
And I remember when we did our initiation initially through, Chemetics 101, we would use Breath of Spring right before doing it. And talk about opening up the pores and the sinuses and everything pouring out of you. Toxins are being released, everything is just pouring out of you and you feel so cleansed at that point. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. So during this section, we wanted to talk to you about two important topics. One, for those of you at home who are watching, I'm sure you see these incredible, beautiful Ubuntu, and you say, okay, they must work on their own. They're in their home all the time because obviously I don't see people like this on the street regularly. I think I would notice a feather. I mean, I haven't seen it on the 3 train. So clearly the question that I'm sure that is burning for folks at home and even folks in the studio audience is, how do you take yourselves as Kemetic priestesses to be, Kemetic initiates and practitioners into the quote-unquote secular world? How do you exist that way? Obviously, you've all had much success within your careers, because we've seen their bios, folks, so we're cheating. But clearly, you've had to be able, I'm assuming that to some degree you've become chameleons. If you haven't, I want to hear that too. So can we start with Rohena, please? We just heard about what else she does. So we really want to start with her, folks. Talk to us about what you do and how you can be you in that setting.
Yes. Okay. I have been a law enforcement officer for the past 12 years. I'm now the chief probation officer for a law enforcement agency in Connecticut. So in my capacity now, I am a supervisor. And as all healers, there's healers for healers. When you heal someone, it's very taxing, it's very stressful, and it's very draining. So being in a situation and position now where I'm a supervisor, I now supervise probation officers who supervise people who have been in the criminal justice system, people who are in the criminal justice system, people who are afflicted with substance abuse, with domestic violence. And when you're a probation officer, you have to take into account that you have a lot of people's lives in your hand. You have the opportunity to help keep someone alive, help keep someone safe, or help keep the community safe. And it's very stressful knowing that, because of the pen, you have that power to put someone behind bars who is deserving. But in doing so, you're also, part of that cycle where you're breaking up families, where there's a child without a father, where there's a mother who's separated from their child. So it's a very emotional job. So as a Kemite, as a supervisor, I make sure that my office space is of Ma'at. There's altars all over my office where my officers don't even know they're walking into a shrine. They may know now, but there's the waterfall in my office. There's the candles in my office. There's the rocks in my office. Every part of nature is in my office because there's life, because there's so much depression and death and sadness and despair that our community has to deal with dealing with these type of problems. You need that ability to breathe.
That's right.
Walking into my space, I provide that space for my officers. And also showing that you can work in that environment and still be professional, still be at peace, it sends peace to your officers to know that, you know, there's a way to deal with stress. And stress management is knowing how to breathe. Stress management is knowing how to bring oxygen into your life. And the way you do that is also by the way you eat. So as a supervisor, I feel I serve as a role model because they watch you. You know, she's different, she's this, you don't go to church, you don't do this. She's drinking that green stuff, you know, but they watch you. People don't pay attention to you.
Yes.
But when you're doing wrong, people talk about you. But when you're doing right, they watch you more. They watch your actions.
True.
And I feel that not only am I a leader within my agency, but I'm a leader, a silent leader, because I know people are watching me. And as a Kemetic woman, that's how I make sure that I maintain that balance, because I am the standard for my staff, the standard for their clients. And once you show that you can live a certain way, whatever your religion is, whatever your lifestyle is, if it's positive, people will listen to you, people will follow you. And that's what makes you a positive leader. So again, despite what my religion is, they don't see me for what my religion is or what I am or what I'm not. They see me as a powerful black woman who, at least when they come to work, make their life a little bit more peace.
Wow. Wow.
So I feel as a Kemetic woman, that's my role within the agency at this point.
And do they feel, I'm assuming that when your staff come in with something stressful, has anyone ever mentioned, your office does something to me when I'm here? Has anyone ever said that to you?
They don't come out and say it, but they don't leave. They'll sit down with a problem and can you review a warrant, and all of a sudden it's, you know, my children, my spouse, and you know, and then the healer comes out.
That's
because
right.
I'm now doing what I became a priestess to do, to heal,
Your
to talk
charge.
therapy, and you're charging them. So, you know, they don't have to know that you're doing something to them, but it's being done, and that's all that matters.
Very interesting. Wow. Wow. Empress Yendis.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I apologize for the long bio.
That's okay.
Why is she
apology
I enjoyed the long
necessary.
bio. And you know, we should say also that when Anika and I came through Chemetics 101, we actually were in the same class with Empress Yendis. So we've known her the longest of the folks that are here. But it's always exciting to see someone's bio because you think you know someone. You begin to realize that there's so much that you don't know. And so there was so much that we didn't know. I did not know you were from Barbados at all.
No.
So there's so many things that we did not know. So we appreciated your bio.
And then we checked out your Facebook pages.
Oh, her Facebook page.
I saw
is
that
incredible.
dynamite picture of you as a belly dancer.
She's been talking about
and
it
all those cut up
for the last few days. She called me, and I was rushing, and she said, "Did you see Yendis' stomach?" And I said, "Wait a minute, wait. Now, why would I have seen Yendis' stomach? I'm sure her husband, her mate, was in the studio would have a problem with me." And then she explained that she was looking at your Facebook page. So there's so much that you get to know about people that you think you know.
Yeah.
So we thank you for that.
Thank you. And I was happy to share. I've been an entrepreneur for just about 20 years. I've actually never ever worked for anyone before. Just my wonderful clients and friends and family. And mostly of that time I've always worked at home. I created, well, with the help of the creator, I've created a vortex in my home for healing. And I'm a natural hair practitioner. That's the umbrella under which I do so many other things, as far as through counseling my clients while they're sitting getting their hair done. I have them for about 2.5 to 3 hours. So they look around the space that they're in and they ask me things, you know, well, why do you have this and why do you have that? And so I find I spend mostly my entire day explaining my Kemetic lifestyle. I never open up with, this is who I am and this is what I do and you should do this too. I ask them about themselves, because since I don't get a chance to really leave the house, I am so happy when people are coming in, and I find it very interesting. I've met so many wonderful people over the years to come in and share their stories, and I've learned, you know, each one teach one. I've learned a lot from them, but they'll not want to talk about them because they find me so interesting and they find my home so interesting. So I share the Kemetic legacy every day, from, well, why do you have that color candle? And why are you wearing this? And you have a lot of those all over your house. You know, recently a young lady asked me because she came into the kitchen and she saw one on the altar. When she came through the front door, she saw one on the door, and then she saw it on me, and she saw it in front of her when she sat down to get her hair done. So I explained about the top of it being the womb, and the crossbar being the children, and the bottom part being the male principle. And I took her through the other parts of it because that symbol is so balanced. You can tell many stories breaking down that symbol. So it's so, the practice of my work, grooming hair, massaging scalps, relaxing people, they always comment that they feel so much lighter when they leave. You know, they come in and they're like, oh man. And when they leave, they're like, charged. So they're getting the healing without me saying I'm doing something, like she said, just talking and touching them. And people aren't being touched in a healthy, healing way a lot of times.
That's right.
So they're getting the nurturing from me, and I love what I do, so that even amps it up even more. The fact that I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm not dreading getting up and getting to work every morning. You know, I look forward, I look in my schedule, and I said, so-and-so is coming today. And I remember these clients, their stories. Some of them have been with me for 18 years.
Wow.
Every month, every 6 months.
And you only look 18 years old, so how does that feel?
I know.
Thank you. But I remember the stories. There's like a file cabinet of each of these people's information in my mind. So once they come, it's like they don't have to remind me what we talked about last time. I said, so how is so-and-so going? I remember the children. I remember what's going on with grandma. So it's more than just doing hair, exchanging currency. There's a relationship going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
What else I do through my work as a practitioner, a hair practitioner, is I tie the health, your health, what's going on in your body, into what's going on top of your hair. I'm not like a beautician who says, well, you have to buy this because I make my products also. I'm also a product developer.
That's right.
Yes, I make all natural, organic products for the hair and for the body. So I don't just try to sell the products because I made it and I want to make money. I explain to them that if they eat right, if they clean their bodies, if they detox, the natural order of inside the body would work to grow the beautiful hair. And only what I'm adding, or what they can purchase from me to put on top, will enhance. So they have to work with me. So I don't sell magic potions, really good products, but not magic potions.
And, you know, people don't even think about what they're putting in their hair. You know, these dyes, they're bleaching the color out of their hair and drying it out and wondering, well, why am I balding in this area? Or, you know, why is my hair shedding on my pillow? You know, they don't really make the connections of not just what you're eating, but also, you know, what products you're putting in your hair and how that's damaging.
I have a chart of the head, and I show them when they tell me, oh, my sides are leaving, or I've lost them, or the top of my head, or the back, and I show them on the chart what organ in the body is blocked or needs energy.
Wow.
And that's why that area is weak. So then once I show them the foods or the herbs that they should use, and then we regenerate that again.
And you do herb walks too.
Yes, I do. I
What is
teach
that?
about wild foods in the parks or on the sidewalks, what you will be able to eat when, as my husband says, when the revolution comes. You need to know what to eat when you can't have, when you won't have things in your refrigerator, when the supermarkets don't have food. I can teach you what you can eat in the parks. Yeah.
Wow.
As soon as the period of the year becomes accessible for us to do that, we would love to be able to focus that on the show too. Because that's going to be very interesting.
It is.
I think you do it mostly in Prospect Park as well.
Yes.
So for those
far.
of you in Brooklyn who are watching, and those of you watching all over the country, you should know that you know, she's not going to, you know, Whole Foods and showing you what you can eat. She's going to a municipal park.
And you can actually walk out of the park, well, maybe I shouldn't say this on camera, with bags of food. For free.
It's just Yandis and the squirrels.
Wow, incredible.
You can go home and make a really nice wild salad and have salad for days from the park. and it replenishes itself, so you're not going
That's
to
right.
take too
That's
much.
right. That's right.
So it's replenishing.
It's living food.
Yes, it is.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
You're not killing it.
And
so.
what you get from the food, the frequency that you get from the food is higher because nature is taking care of that food outside. You know, the soil is richer, the sun is getting the rain and everything. So you actually feel it. You know, the energy is more vibrant from wild food.
Wow, beautiful.
Amazing.
Sister Elsiana.
Well, unlike my Sinettes next to me, I work for corporate America.
And I really, we noticed that. We talked about it. How does that work for you?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult, not for me per se,
Right.
but for me to reach out and help. It's very difficult because the walls are up. They're
That's
always
right.
up. And instead of people opening up to me, there's always a resistance. Okay? And I try to be as calm, and I try to be, I dress a certain way, which, you know, corporate America they just don't go for it, you know. But because I've been there so long, I've been there for 29 years.
29 years, that's right.
I could at least, you know, I got a little pull.
That's right, that's right.
It's called tenure.
Yes, exactly. But there's always, you know, the comments, you know, well, why this or why that, you know, but I got to just put that behind me. You know, my healing isn't in the workplace, it's outside, you know. In the community, and just trying to get people healed, because I think the basis of this whole spirituality is in healing yourself. You know,
That's right.
When I came to this, on this path, it was through Queen of Four. I went for healing. I didn't go for anything else.
That's
I wanted
right.
some healing.
Right.
And through that process, I was able to heal myself. And I was able to understand how fasting clears your mind, you know, and so I was open for whatever, you know, for whatever came.
That's right.
And having been a Sacred Woman Initiate, that's where I learned all of the Kemetic, you know. I was just so curious. It was like, wow. You know, it's like, I just couldn't believe that all this information was out there, you know, and we didn't have it. You know, you have to actually look for it. It's not available, you know. So after the initiation, I worked with Queen of Four in her womb spa. I did a lot of preparing food.
That's right.
Preparing food.
Big difference.
Exactly. And that was my way of healing people, you know, just letting them know that there is a better way, that there is a path out there, that you don't need to ingest all these, well, the meats
artificial,
right,
oh,
all the
yeah.
toxic foods. There are ways, you know. The transition was a little difficult for me, but like I said, once you get the clarity, you know you're on the right path.
That's right. That's right.
And again, like the soul sweats, you know,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
something that I'm an avid fan of, and you know, just using the elements. It's
That's
really
right.
using the elements to clean yourself, to detox. I had an experience in Costa Rica a couple of years ago. My Sinette here and I, we went to the hot springs, and I mean, it was just so awesome that this water, this rainwater, it's coming from the volcanoes.
Wow.
Hot water. And you could just actually feel the pull,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the pull of the
And that's where your
toxins.
family's from,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Yeah.
I was born there.
I don't think I knew anyone from Costa Rica before. Now I know
Now
two.
there's two.
And it's really funny that we're kind of like related.
Really?
And we didn't know, yes, yes.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, our families, you know, they've known each other,
That's right.
and a cousin of a cousin is married to a cousin.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we're basically
It's amazing
family.
how that
Yes.
happens, right?
Yes, yes,
Great.
yes.
Wow.
Now,
wow.
you know, we've talked a lot about sacred women, just so that the brothers don't feel left out. There is also a sacred king man.
Yes,
Right.
I've gone through King Man
passage.
training as well. Yes,
You wanna
and
talk
it was amazing, such an amazing experience. I did it after Cometics 101, so I saw King Man as almost like the next level for me. It's where I got my name. It's where I began to actually see myself as someone who had almost changed my path entirely. So Cometics 101, as Baba Heru will say to us all the time, he says it's the toenail in the door. And so Cometics 101 was the leg in the door. Sacred King Man was a leg in the door. And it was a wonderful experience where you go through each of the 14 Sebketiyu. And it's similar to Sacred Woman in many ways. And so those things happen for both men and women. And I should say, obviously, that for those folks at home who are wondering about what you do, just looking at you here, as you talk about healing and looking at the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women that are here, including my mate. Clearly, this way of life does something to you. And so I'm assuming that proselytizing is not something that you usually have to do, because people want to know about you. You're different. You know, what is it that makes you so different? And so I'm sure that really is something that comes out as well.
Yes.
Helenas, we definitely have to hear about how you occur as a Kemite in the secular world.
Wow. Well, I was a teacher, educator for about maybe 7-8 years. And then I felt that I wanted to go into another direction. And once I became a sacred woman, it showed me where I can actually help people heal themselves. And so by doing different entities of working and heal thyself, which is the wound spa and practitioner, the distributor of the products and things of that nature, I decided to take it a step further by going to school for a colon therapist. And there is where I found great joy, because they said, how could you do that stuff? I said, it's very easy. I don't have to touch anything.
Right.
And it was by using the instruments, were very easy, and it's about calming the person down and having them to be comfortable. Eunice could vouch for that, because
Very comfortable.
she, you know, we all went through segments of how to do certain things, and in doing that, it actually taught a person how and what not to do anymore. So if they came in, they may have had problems with the skin or different elements pertaining to the liver and things of that nature. And I actually showed or told them that each part of the body is connected to your intestines. And by doing that, if they came in with a bloated stomach or different things can go on, like with the heart, even the heart and the throat for that instance. If you clean out the area, you no longer have those problems.
That's right.
And if you keep it, continue to keep it clean, you no longer have those problems. So for myself, I went in, and before I became a sacred woman, I was weighing like maybe 175.
Really?
And I had the high blood pressure, I had the numbness on one side.
Wow.
And so soon as Queen said that you need to change your ways, or tell every sacred woman that you need to change the ways that you're eating, the ways that you're doing certain things in life and things of that nature. So what happened with me, I went straight to it. I went straight to the different foods that I'm eating. I no longer ate any cooked food for like maybe 12 weeks. So within those 12 weeks, I may have lost like 15 pounds, which really did me some justice, because now when I went to the doctor, she didn't have to give me a prescription for the medications anymore. So she never asked me what happened.
She never asked you what happened?
She never asked me what happened. So in doing that, I said, you know, I don't even need to come to the doctor anymore. So what am I going there for? You know? So and then after a while, she began to ask me what were I doing for myself and things like that. I said, well, I was keeping my body temple clean. She said, what do you mean keeping it clean? So I said,
I shower every day. What do you mean?
So I explained to her that I changed up my diet completely. I am a raw foodist. I eat raw foods all the time. Make sure I get my green juices down, and just change up different things that you do throughout the day, and just keep away from toxic situations. It's more calming to the soul. And even my children begin to notice that how different of a person I am.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It's funny because we don't even just do food fasts. We can do talk fasts.
To talk
Sometimes when you
fast.
decide I'm just not going to speak for a certain period of time to
Yeah.
give myself, you know, my own inner spiritual cleansing.
Or people fast.
People fast.
Right.
That's right.
You can testify to that.
She's very good at it, actually.
You do have to cleanse out of your
Right.
system because they're bringing nothing but toxic energy to you. They're depressing you, and
That's
you know you
right.
don't even realize it until that person's gone. You're like, wow, I'm feeling great. What happened? That doesn't mean just shed people. You know, sometimes those people are in a position where they may not be able to work with you at that moment, but they can always come back.
Right.
Or either just take a break from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to take care of yourself before
That's
you're able to
right.
help other
That's
people.
right.
They
sometimes.
call that divine detachment.
Yes.
Divine detachment.
That's
That is
right.
stolen, folks. You're going to hear it on the show and say, I know I heard that, Sister Sam. Yeah, I stole it. I stole it. That's a great one. That's really a
And
great
you know,
one.
sometimes in my work, I'll notice a person's energy and I'll know that there's a certain conversation I can't have with them.
That's right.
And I'll just go into my space and give them the opportunity because they are here to receive a service from me. So instead of me trying to change their mind about anything, I know who it's okay to do that with and who it's not. It's a clear spiritual symbol, you know, significance. So I will go within and be peaceful, but not so detached, lovingly so, but just allowing them the space to be there that day and still give them a wonderful service.
Magnificent. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we want to talk a bit about your process of becoming a Butu, and in talking about that process, we also want to, I guess, talk about, as you can imagine, they have a relationship with each other. I mean, through this process you've been through, you developed relationships with each other. I mean, I saw the magnificent pictures of y'all in St. Croix. Nobody invited Jabari, by the way. But of course, that was part of your process. And so, what has it been like? What do you think about this? I'm throwing it out there for any of you to address first.
Well, I think it's fantastic because it's like a second family. And you become so close to your sisters that you're going through certain things with, and they become a part of. And for my sister here, we have gone through all over the place, just about. Once we went to St. Croix, we were supposed to be there just for 4 days. So we decided to stay an extra 3 days.
Really?
Yes.
While the rest of us went home.
Oh!
That's how fast we were so like head over heels about where we were.
Right.
So by staying there those extra 3 days, we really got into each other. And even though we did Sacred Woman together, we never even had a conversation with each other.
Wow.
So now we're closer. I feel that she's closer to me than my own sisters because we expand that way with each other. And that trip did a lot for us as a whole. And we really got into one another's heads. Found out each other's habits, snoring.
Oh, wow.
She's calling somebody out. You're not going to know about that at home. Nobody knows who it was. Don't just let it fall. Just let it fall.
But it was a great experience. We had opportunities to go to the beach at least 6 o'clock in the morning and just stay there for the whole entire day.
Wow.
And just be there. We once went on someone's property, and it was like a palace. And we claimed it. He says, this is going to be our palace in St. Croix. And they had, the amazing thing was, they had the pool there, and they had the 2 Sphinx sitting on the edge. And that was so amazing to us. So now we asked Dr. Shanzira, well, who does this place belong to? Is that ours? Is this where we're going to be?
I know, right?
So she said, well, okay, we can have it. Just claim it, name it and claim it.
Wow.
So it was one of those big properties that was empty. It was empty, and so if anyone ever purchased it, we still got it.
Wow.
You still have it. Well, let's talk a little bit about
Amazing.
the altar work as well.
Definitely, I think that we certainly should do that. But I'm wondering if any of the rest of you want to jump into that issue.
I did. I wanted to say how special we are as sisters. We really balance each other. As the years go on, we're getting closer and closer with each other. I recently had a situation with, I have 2 older daughters, and you know, young daughters, they're having little disagreements with each other, and I felt like it was going to be a bit much for me, so I asked my sisters to come and do an intervention, to come home with me and talk to my daughters, and it was wonderful, and we got to really see this whole Abut and the priestesshood, what it's about. It's about being able to go into each other's families and help. And be that extended family, but not really that extended. Be like second mothers to my children, be aunties to my children, and you know, help me when I need it, because that's what it's about also.
That's right.
We're not just doing it for other people, we're doing it for each other. As Rohana said it nicely, the healer has to go to a healer also.
Oh, definitely.
You know, so we help to heal each other.
You created that community by doing that.
So were they successful?
So far, so good.
Okay, very good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And I know you also go to Señor Baba Heru as well. I know on Sundays you used to do rituals together, or
we still do.
Oh, you still do that?
Still do.
Okay.
He's our guide. He's our guide.
He's the elder.
Yeah, he's the elder. He's our guide. Where he comes in is the information, you know, because to be an Abutu, you have to know. I mean, you have to know the origins of things, because people will ask you questions, you know. And it's been a hard road because it's a lot of information. And because we have all separate lives, it's just not like, you know, we're being initiated and we're doing this 24/7.
That's right.
It's very hard, you know. But it's enjoyable. It's very mind expanding. And also it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. But I think the part for me is the sisterhood. It's the sisterhood, because like, you know, like Helen said, you know, you can have your own sisters, but it's just, there's something different.
Special.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, we started out with maybe 15. We were down to 7,
Wow.
and now we're 5. One came back, so 6. So, you know, but this core, we're the core.
Right.
You know, we're the core.
Right. Right.
4 directions.
4
I wanted
directions.
to mention, we talk about Baba Hu as our elder. Our foundation was Sacred Woman through you know, Queen Afua. But the beauty of our circle and our training now is that our elder guide is a male. So it's just amazing having Baba Haru as our teacher, because we're learning so much about ourselves from a man, from a male's perspective. And just the information that a man can offer a woman about relationships and about ourselves and you know, things that women don't know, it makes us need to learn more about our bodies as women, as far as, you know, just compatibility with men and you know, sexual cycles and creation, you know, and just the creative energy. And we've learned so much about our female power and feminine energy that we can now tap into.
That's right.
To come forth and shine.
And you are shining. You are
Having
shining.
that balance as a
Right.
elder male and an elder female guide has helped make us more well-rounded women as well.
Wonderful.
And as teachers for other women
Right.
and younger women.
Wow.
And that's the beauty of the Kemetic tradition, that it's all about balance and making sure that you include both the masculine and the feminine energy in
That's right.
everything you do to
That's
make
right.
it ma'atical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So we give Baba praise and thanks for being there and being our guide.
That's right.
Because he always let us know. So you are the ones. We are the ones.
That's right.
We are the ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
He's a
So-
very honorable elder.
Yes.
Very to be upheld.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
oh yeah. We've all gotten a lot out of that experience, and I know that he married Anika and myself. I mean, obviously he's not only our priest now, our high priest now, as he's named us priest and priestess. He's our high priest.
Yes.
He's the priest to the priest.
That's right.
In many and priestesses, but in addition to that, he's become a family member. So we talk about everything, and it really has been very interesting seeing a spiritual person and being very close to them.
Yes.
Because you even see those things that they are working on. You see those things that they've conquered that you think you'll never be able to conquer.
That's right.
I mean, it's amazing to be able to be to have the tutelage of that person, be under the tutelage of that person, because it helps you understand what your path is.
Exactly.
Because you can even see how far along they are on their path. You're like, wow.
Right. Will I ever get there?
That's
Will I
right.
ever,
That's
but
right.
like they said, you never arrive.
No,
never
it's the
arrive.
process.
About the journey.
It's
Yes.
the
It's the
process.
journey.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, let's talk about the importance of altar work. I know you mentioned having altars at your place of work, but also having an altar at your home or wherever you may be. Can you talk a little bit about what we have here and what that means to you?
Our altar represents the elements, the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and earth. Let's see, we have imitation fire there.
And it's only imitation, folks, because we can't have open flames in the studio.
That's right.
So you have imitation fire in the form of the candle, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, wonderful.
Okay, you can do the next.
Well, we have the shell with the sage. Sage is a very cleansing herb, and it purifies space. It purifies your aura. So we always have that. We have the ankh, life, the plant, the green, and the ma'at feather. The ma'at feather.
She did it all, right? She said, I'm gonna hook it up.
All right, go ahead, Yendis.
She's like, give me some.
Okay, we have the green also on the altar, which is for life and beauty, the principle of Het Heru as well. And on top of that, we have it placed on a white cloth, which is for clarity. And we have the tuning the bell, which helps to, when you ring it and you make the circular motions, you help to, the vibrations tune the atmosphere.
That's right. I know that we recently had Dr. Janzira on the show. And we were frazzled because as we were today, we were having difficulty in our control room with some of the technical end of it. So the control room folks are working on it, but clearly, we were also stressed about it. And she simply set the tone, as we set the tone in the control room, she set the tone with the bell in the studio. And after that, everything just was very smooth. So, and certainly, as you talk about Het Heru, you know that sometimes we do either Asar or Het Heru on Fridays. So you see Asar there. For some of you say, why is Asar there? It could be both. But clearly, you have a bell, which is also a musical instrument, on a day that you would be dealing with Het Heru, right?
Dance.
Right.
Yes.
And you also have what they call the sistrum.
I'm assuming that's what Rohana's going to talk about, though, right? Don't steal her thunder. Go ahead.
No, I was going to talk about other types of altars, but
Oh, wonderful. That's good. Okay, so let's talk about the musical instruments as well. So we have, Anika and I we just recently figured out the Kemetic phrase for that type
Of sistrum.
of sistrum.
I think it's seshesha.
Seshesha, I believe is the word, right? Because, of course, sistrum, as you hear the UM sound, is something that's Roman. And so, as we know, that energy, the Het Heru and Ost energy, went all the way throughout the Greco-Roman period in Kemet after we were no longer in control, and found its way into all of the other spiritual forms today through that way. And so that's the reason why we even call it often by a Roman name, but you'll see it everywhere. I remember being in Roman Catholic Church and seeing, I keep asking my family about this because this was a long time ago, I saw my priest shaking one.
Wow.
And they don't do it anymore. Now they use a bell. But
Symbols. Would the symbol be the same thing?
Yeah.
it came through, and this is something that we're doing a tour that will describe more of this in the Metropolitan Museum. But it's called The Pagan Origins of Christianity, not because we consider ourselves pagans, but because if we call it pagan, then someone's going to think it's controversial and come to the tour. So that's the only reason we named it that way. Well, that's really the only reason. But
We have to remember that some of the words that we use, we don't always know the origins of.
Exactly.
And the word pagan was not originally a negative term.
No, it wasn't.
Exactly.
So, but unfortunately, words have been taken and switched and used
And
in
used in
negative
very,
ways.
very different ways.
Just like for Voldoon being called voodoo and being put in horror movies.
Yeah.
That wasn't its original purpose.
Absolutely. She's absolutely correct. Yes. But on that tour, then we will begin to discuss how these elements came from Kemet, filtered themselves into the origins of the Western world, and are still present today. And unfortunately, we don't give any credit to those folks. So it's beautiful to be able to do that. So you were going to talk about other altars as well.
I was just going to briefly mention that we have this beautiful altar, and I spoke about the altars in my office, but there's also, you know, ancestral altars that we need to maintain. When we speak about Kemet and legacy, you cannot speak about those two things without recognizing our ancestors, because we deal so much with life and death and life after death that altar work is all about energy, and it's about energy to sustain life.
That's
So
right.
the reason why we create ancestors altars is because we need to remember the shoulders of the people that have passed before us.
Wonderful.
We live through their legacy. We live through their challenges, through their trials, and from their strength is our strength. So we need to always acknowledge our ancestors because it's their wisdom, their pain, their trials from why we exist and how we elevate.
Thank you. Now we figured that we'd get into an interesting area because we always get a number of questions that are burning on the minds of folks who are not familiar with Kemetic spirituality. And here we have the opportunity to speak to 4 individuals who are also focused on this path. So we figured we would pepper you with hot topics in this instance, the topics that may be burning on the minds of our audience.
That's right.
And so we're thinking of this as a rapid fire round. We're going to keep, the questions are going to come. We want to get what you think about it, but we're also looking for the shortest answer as possible as well.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I know with that, we have someone from our audience that had a question. Please come forward and tell us your name and your question or your comment.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here in the company of the gods. I would like to know whether the ibis bird was truly emblematic of the enema. I would like to know whether there is magical properties in holding the ankh. And I would also like to know whether there were any magical healing powers that was performed in ancient time that is not performed today. Thank you.
Wow.
Now, brother, you know that is actually like a whole show.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
So definitely we'll talk about that. You didn't tell us who you were, though.
Oh, Saeed Saladin.
Wonderful. Wonderful to see
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to answer those questions?
I'll answer the one about the Imus bird.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Well, that's where the colonics all began. High priestesses, they came upon the bankside and they seen the bird, the Imus bird, take water from the river and go behind himself. And after a while, once he spewed the water into his insides,
His rectum, right?
Yeah.
his rectum, then things begin to fall out. So, and then someone else seen it, and then someone else seen it. So back in the late times, judges used to sit up in their what do you call it, where they sit up on the
A dais or what?
behind
Judges?
their stand,
Okay.
behind the judge stand,
Right.
and they actually be giving themselves a colonic.
Really? I've
Yes.
never heard that one before.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
So while they're talking and speaking with different people that may have gone through criminal negligence or what have you,
Right.
they would be sitting there on the apparatus giving themselves a colonic.
Wow.
So it all came from the Imus bird,
Right.
and that's what he actually did. He took the water,
Wonderful.
drained the water, put it in his beak, and then put it in
That's
his
right.
rectum.
That's right. I think the oldest description was from Pliny the Elder. Actually, is the one that describes that coming from Kemet, because unfortunately, much of our way actually was lost when we lost some of our great libraries. And so it's interesting that sometimes we have to go to Greeks and Romans who were at least there around the time to tell us about some of the things that we did, because some of our descriptions have not been found, and so that's I think it's very interesting that that's taken place. Someone want to?
I could touch on one of the questions he's had.
Wonderful.
He asked. Throughout the evening we've been talking a lot about health and healing, but it played such a significance in our Kemetic times because you had to be healthy and fit in order to rule. And one of the rituals was the festival of the Hebset festival, and the Nasut, the king, they had to show their health and their strength. So they would run laps and laps because they had to prove that they were fit to rule. Because usually a community, they're going to do as the Nasut, the king, the queen. They're going to live like them. They're going to eat like them. So when your ruler is of sound mind, body, and spirit, you're going to follow them. So they made sure that they maintain health. And health was maintained also by, the embalming and the organs, because you had to judge not only the person in their duties and the way they ruled, but you also judged them by how their insides looked. So in order to be a ruler of Ma'at and Ma'atin ruler, you have had to have eaten that way.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The other question on the symbolism, we're going to ask our audience member to look at. There have been several shows that we've talked about sacred symbols, and so we'll actually also show you which episodes you can even watch online. That will help you get some of that answer, because we've done a number of lectures on it, and we think that they're profound. Hopefully you will as well. I think we have another question.
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings, greetings.
How you doing?
How are you?
Yes.
Name is Stephen Good, and I have a question about the jewelry that I see everyone wearing. I notice the women have on the collars here, and I'm very curious, what's going on with the collars. And as Kemites, the jewelry, is it very important? It seems like you wear it every day, and what does it mean for you?
Excellent question. Excellent question. Of course, he's a ringer, but excellent question. Because we know him already. So, who would like to deal with that issue? I knew a lot of people wanted to jump on that one. I even know Anika wants to talk about that. But remember the rule. So let's see. Who do you?
I'll answer it.
Yes.
I'll answer it. The jewelry, as we lovingly call it, through Baba Haru, they're empowered with ancient energy, spiritual energy, his energy, the knowledge, the wisdom. So they're actually like altars for us. They're actual altars. Each symbol represents a different
Synergy.
different synergies. So when you put them on, it's almost as if you're tuning yourself. When you put each one on, you're setting the tone for your body, for your mind, and your spirit for that day. I don't wear mine every day, but I wear it most of the time, especially going out, because it's also a shield of protection. It's also not to keep people away. It's inviting as well, because people are always curious, and it's a way to share the legacy. Because it's like giving a class each time someone asks.
Wonderful.
I break down each thing, and I teach a class. So the jewelry is very important.
Right.
It's not just decoration, and it's not frivolous.
Wow. There's so many other topics that we would love to talk to you about, but we're running really short on time. So at this point, we want to just say thank you.
Thank you so
Divine
much.
Tuah. We want to just say that you all have enlightened our audience. You've enlightened us. It's always wonderful to spend time and to talk with other folks who are on similar paths, because it edifies you. And so we really have enjoyed this moment. I think it's one of our best shows. I'm sure at home you're thinking that as well. And so we would love to have you back on some other topics as well.
Definitely.
Because there are tons of things that we could talk about. And so with that, I think that we will need to move.
Yeah. Well, with that, thank you so much, Twa'u, as we say in our ancient language of the Medu. So we are so appreciative of you being here today. We'd also like to say thank you to our studio audience. Thank you to our viewers at home. For more information, please visit our website at www.kemeticlegacy.com, or you can also go to www.centerforma'at.com. Also visit our Facebook page. all the questions that you have burning in there that you didn't get to hear today, please send us those questions, and we promise that we will give you the answers to those questions. So feel free to send it on Facebook or to email us at info@centerformyaunt.com. And as we always say, the divine force in us greets the divine force in you.
Hatepu.
Anhu Jasaneb, life, strength, and health. Thank you for watching Kemetic Legacy today.
Thank you.